completely dried out. Like this hasn't been hanging up someone's facility for 2 weeks or more.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really opens you up to a variety of things you can do with this. Let's get this flank steak out of here. Typically, I'll just be honest with you, I grill this up and eat it myself. It's not really a whole lot you can do with it, but it is fucking tasty. So I'm gonna come in first thing and go between the 4th and the 5th bone. Some butchers will tell you something different. For us, so you got the first bone is gonna be really small right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And even with charcuterie cuts, you know, some of them will elongate the copa, but I haven't really found it necessary yet. And I'll show you guys. I know some of y'all looked in the room in there. We have tons of copas hanging, and they're huge. And I've finished some of them out almost 3 months, like not even 3 months. But that's a topic for a little bit later on, I guess. So I make that cut. Flip this bad boy around. I follow this down to the spine. As far as like specialized equipment goes, you really don't need a whole lot. I got this one knife that I treat like an absolute dog, and it hates me for it. It's got chips all in it and a bunch of shit, but it works for us. I'm just gonna use the weight of the carcass to separate this loin. Like that right there. If you can like spare yourself using the saw, it'll save your meat for a little while longer than, because you don't want to like get the temperature up around the bone, oxidizes the meat, and it'll kind of stale a little bit faster. That's that shoulder there. Oh, she's not gonna fit. It's a big bitch, Alex. So.
Grab that wide, it's gonna knock on the way.
We'll do a couple different things for that shoulder here in a minute. Second thing I'm gonna do, go ahead and remove the ham. And basically, just gonna look for that last vertebrae, like right before the lumbar section. Same kind of deal here. I'm not gonna bullshit you. I use a saw for this typically. You can break it too if you want. Let's see. Like I say, most oftentimes I'll use a saw right here on this part. Now I don't have a finished ham from him yet, because I mean obviously this thing's massive. So I have like probably 8 in the works right now. And I can show y'all, we'll go in the back and kind of check out what's in the walk-in, what stages they're at right now, kind of what they're looking like, give you something you can expect. Let's set this bad boy right here. So this part here this is something different than what you'll see like in a butcher shop. Like they're gonna come in and cut these bones so they can get spare ribs and a bigger belly. And they oftentimes will compromise the length of the tomahawk. I like the dramatic presentation of the full bone on the pork chop. I don't know if you guys will or not, so I just kind of show you what I'm doing with this and why we do it. I'm gonna start right here at the front, the rib section, just follow along. You kind of
Filleting it on the bone.
still using use the weight of the carcass to your advantage. Leverage.
So if you're basically filleting that off the bone right there?
Yep, I'm kind of keeping the knife at an angle up against the bone. Again, treating the knife like a dog. Once I get to a part I feel pretty comfortable with, all right. So that's pretty much like separated off the belly right here. But what this does, man, it gives you, like I've really enjoyed it being this size. I mean, it's a massive belly. And it's really easy to get off from this point. I'm gonna come a few inches away from the loin. Go ahead and start my cut as a guide. Up here. Now, kind of come over, reference the eye, make sure I'm not gonna like take off too much of that marble. Hit that little muscle right on top of the pork chop. It right there. belly ready to roll. I mean, it's 100 different things you can do with this. I mean, we all know that. So, you know, we've made several bacons. I got a pancetta in the works. You know, the braises. The flavor on this pork in particular, not just because he's standing right there, is good. I enjoy it. It's not bad at all. The fat's got a nice taste. It's not too gamey, but it takes well to a lot of different cures and brines. All right, now pork chop time. So, a couple different ways you can look at it. I take the chine off. I mean, you can leave the chine on. I mean, we probably could. It's a little bit more of a dramatic effect. You could argue that it's got more flavor, but honestly, it's just too much bullshit on the plate for me. You know, for the customer sitting there digging around all these bones, and oftentimes that spinal cord that runs through there can be like some like blood clots in there that you won't notice while you're prepping the meat, but the customer's gonna get to it, and it might freak some of them out. If you don't give a shit, I don't either. But so I'm gonna use so typically they'll probably cut right here to get that belly, that same size belly. I like to that way we have nice tomahawks right here. Leave that bad boy. And remove the chine. Being a lefty is gonna kind of, some of the spines on these things, they're a little bit different each time. I like really being in the zone the week before and get another one, but wait a second. It won't be as clean the next time, but I'm just gonna come in right in the space of the chine. The harder the angle you go on this, you can start to remove these other leaf bones on the side. But I don't mind them too much.
How many of these you say you've butchered?
Of his product,
Yeah.
like 7 or 8.
Yeah. It's not all your fingers, right?
Uh-huh.
All your fingers?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. It's not gonna count. Okay.
So I poked myself in the hand cutting some fish the other day. It's a trout, but it's really fatty. And I got lazy and wasn't wiping my knife off. Fuck. It sucked. All right, so chine off. So we're ready to cut some pork chops. Like I say, we like to do the double cut. So I'll cut as close to that first bone between the 4th and 5th as possible. That way I'm left with a 1 bone double cut at the end, but I get 6 per side. Start running your numbers on it. We basically pay for the pig off the pork chop alone. So we're not currently open for lunch right now, but when we do, I think I'll really start seeing the benefit of taking this program on in the way that we have. Sometimes you can come in, see, and like get these little feather bones off. But I didn't go deep enough on the chine to do that. So I'm just gonna get this first one off right here. Nice and a fat cap on this bad boy. So I'll come in and make these marks. You get the feather bones off, you can just go right through. So
Damn.
for us, what I usually do, I get the pig in. I don't really have time like to go through all these processes. I can't like spend a whole day on the pig. So we do a fair amount of aging in the cooler. Not gonna lie to you. So with this pork chop here, I'm gonna go ahead and leave that fat cap on, and it stays just like this. A couple of days, gets a nice little age on it. Then we come in, French the meat off with a paring knife, trim this fat up, and we brine. So there's a bacon cure recipe on the back. Just do 2 cups to a gallon. Brine it for about 45 minutes. Truss that bitch, and then we sous vide. We do 135 for 45 minutes. Some people will do higher. Some people argue that that's like a risky temperature, but it's not a true mid-rare, but it's close enough. And also, like the curing salt in that cure makes it really difficult to pull off well done. I'm just gonna tell you. People come in and order well done. I'm like, it's either going in the fryer or you gotta order something else. I hate to say that, but it is what it is, man. So here I have feather bone still intact, so I'm just gonna break the feather bone. Try not to get into the meat too much. Add a little bit of an angle. What is this? Oh, and this fat part that we take off, man, makes really good lardo. Chicharrones also, but I mean, I think I'm like 36 days on a lardo right now. I'm gonna go 60 in complete darkness, and then may or may not smoke it. I don't know. Just all depends, really. Waiting for Brussels sprouts, really, so I don't really need the lardo right now. There's your, as promised, 6 pork chops. Which again, and one thing I've noticed, like just to comment on the product itself, it needs to get oxygen because it's so fresh. This, you'll notice a drastic intensity change in the color on like the second day. You'll come and say, fuck, these things look really good. So it's not something that you really have to like feel weird about keeping them in your walk-in uncovered on a speed rack for 2 days at a time. It actually, it makes it much better.
Yeah, these pigs get processed on Tuesday and delivered Wednesday afternoon. So they hang Tuesday night through a portion of Wednesday morning. So you've probably got 12 to 14 hours.
Have you considered like an aging aspect of the facility yet? Maybe we can get it a 14-day if you want, just for charcuterie pigs?
We could. Moving forward, we just have to purchase a small couple of pieces of equipment before we can do that. Yeah,
Small. See how you said small?
Not small, no, it's huge.
All right. Now we have just the tail end of the loin section here. For us, I mean, this is something I'm kind of targeting for lunchtime. Probably schnitzel, I don't know, fried pork chops, something like that. I did get a Lomo going with a couple of these loins. Pretty excited to see how that turns out. Should be pretty cool. I'm just gonna come in. It's like a natural line on this fat. It'll kind of show its ass for you. A nice little piece of skin for fat back. Oh, fuck. Sorry, guys. And then, so you've got these little finger bones right here. I don't know if you guys break down like lamb loins or anything like that, but it's very similar to the pack that comes in on the lamb loin, sans the tenderloin that we took off in the beginning. I'm just gonna kind of follow that there. And there's like one baby little rib bone that's left right here. So they kind of stick out and try to talk shit. Coming right against the back side of this loin, kind of pulling out towards you. And again, I'm no master at this, so I mean, it's probably foolish to be pulling the knife towards me the entire time, but it's a comfort level thing, really, man. And if you get these in, I guarantee you, you'll start coming up with your own kind of little ways to do stuff. See what fits your program. then also, so this here stocks, or you can just roast it off, render it, pick the meat off, and dump the fat on for rillettes. Works good with this because this is a nice little knuckle right here. There's also parts off the shoulder that are great for that as well, that we'll use from time to time. And then here's that loin here. Clean it up. And a lot of the little pieces, you know, we make sausage, you know, 40 pounds at a time will account for about 3 or 4 pigs. So we'll kind of store some stuff up and even get some meat on cure before grinding it. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, you know. It's about as many people as you'd ask is how many answers you get. There's a loin there. And that's the basic, when it comes in, that's what we'll do to it to break it down. Now, as far as what you're gonna do with each little piece, you know, that depends on your operation and what y'all's goals are, what you're trying to accomplish with this product. But first things first, I'm gonna render that fat there. Any of the fat that comes off these chops that don't already have lard, I'll probably render that as well. Chicharrones, we don't do a whole lot of them right now. We don't necessarily have a need for it, but by all means, there's a ton of chicharron on this pig right here. But this ham, we'll go ahead and this top sirloin right here is something that you'll definitely want to savor the flavor of. So you can kind of see the muscle's going to separate right there.
Like if you want to come switch sides with me.
And then I just follow this down to where old boy's butthole was. Some of these though, I just get the whole ham on cure. I have a couple of really big ones in the walk-in we can go look at in a bit. Show you what I'm talking about. But it's a damn good time. So you got your hip bone right there. You can fillet around it, but a lot of tendon involved. Fucking pain in the ass, honestly. Try to cut as much as the meat as possible so you don't actually have to have the saw touch the meat. And here we are with that top sirloin there.
What's your favorite application for that piece?
This here, again, schnitzels, steaks. Some people, you can take this and truss it and cut steaks, but I mean, I'm only gonna get 3. There's not really a whole lot I can do with that, you know? It's a good cut for sausage, but pounding out for schnitzel too, it's another great piece. Ton of flavor because of that pelvic bone right there. It's gonna be packing all the flavor. Then at this point, I just kind of come in and clean this little piece off to try to get the shape of the ham. Move the rest of that flank. I could have probably gotten this in the beginning, went ahead and separated it and kind of exposed some of the cuts, make it a little bit easier to navigate the animal itself. There's another little flap off of that. Oh, and also tasso. Just started doing some tasso a couple weeks ago. I don't know why I wasn't the whole time. But like all of these kind of off butt pieces and on the shoulder, just throw them in that tasso brine, smoke them for 5 hours, finish that shit in the oven, vac it, and save it for a rainy day, man. I mean, tons of things you can do with tasso. We all know that. But this piece here would get salted. We did some ossabaws with the foot on. I haven't really had the balls to like leave the foot on any of these yet. So I don't think it couldn't be done. I just haven't done it yet. But in the event that you would want to do that, I'm gonna come in, cut right here. Break this table. It was an afterthought when I put the boards out here. I was like, I'm probably gonna break this table. You have more of like a traditional, you know, prosciutto shape with this one. I do have a couple culatellos. We can get some beef bladder.
Working on it.
And in that application, you would take the fat side of the butt and use that, you know, cure it a couple weeks, however you want to do it. rinse it off, case it in a beef bladder, and then go into the aging room. But I have a few different hams that are in there. I'll show you guys when we get back there. We'll bring the shoulder back out. And this one, you know, again for the restaurant, there's some really cool stuff on here I'd love to be able to use all the time. Like the short ribs right here, that'd be really cool. But I'm not cutting up 10 pigs at a time, you know, so it's not really something that I feel like works for us right now. So we don't really mess with it. And I'll go ahead and get this little foot off. Yeah, and I don't want to. On your stainless steel table, you can break this off. But I don't want to break this off. And one thing that we have been doing that's been really, really awesome for us is taking all these huge ham hocks and I'll brine them and then smoke them, and we circulate like 145 for 12 hours and put them in a collard green, and it's a kill. Like, I can say that with full confidence. It's fucking cut it from this angle. As you can see with this though, there's a ton of usable meat in that shank. This is one of my favorite things that we do with it. I just set a hogshead terrine, foie gras, and ham hocks earlier this morning. Should be fucking monkey. So we'll wait a couple days on that one. When you get here, a couple different schools of thought. You can smoke your shoulder, the butt portion, like just like you would get a normal pork butt. That's gonna be this guy here. So you would come in and make this cut directly against the spine there and have your butt and a picnic. And the picnic is gonna have this short shoulder here and the short ribs on it. I like to go ahead and cure every copa that we get off of it. So I mean, it's a favorite, personal favorite. So a couple different ways you can do it. One thing I stumbled across the last time that was kind of sweet was, I never thought to do before, you can take all this bone material off at one time. And this is the one, you cut it a little fat, this is the one that's gonna make the really good rillettes. Come in here, turn the blade up, come back against that. Fill the plate. Follow that down. Using the weight of the carcass just to kind of like let go for me. Don't betray me. There's the fat for the rillette. So this whole piece here, well, sans the spinal cord. I'm gonna get that shit out of there. This whole piece here, you can just go ahead and roast off and kill it rillettes.
Why don't you use the spinal cord? Why don't you use the spinal cord?
Why not?
Why do you take it out?
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just from what I've been told over the years, man, like, and then, you know, I like to taste it too, you know, I'm just gonna take somebody's word for it, but it is bitter as shit. The spinal cord and the what is it, the lungs are like really the only like not usable byproduct off of the whole pig.
Is this for all animals or just pigs?
It's pretty general across the board for all animals, really. It's the same thing with like, you know, not eating a bloodline on a fish. You know, this shit's gnarly, dude. So this piece here, they say you roast off, peel that meat, save the bones, make a stock out of it too. We've been getting a really gelatinous stock using the feet and this part of the bone section and the chine bone. And it's been really cool, man. to be honest with you, like not having to cheat and use any veal stock, just being able to use just the pig is pretty cool. I'm just kind of come in and just kind of open that foot up. That way it just lets the collagen out a little bit more. When it's fully split, you get that really like, that hard jelly, which I know we all like. Now, this part here, I'm gonna go ahead and get the copa out and separate it. Cool thing for me that I always look for with these is the muscles will kind of let themselves, if you just kind of get in there and kind of pick around at it for a second. It seems kind of weird, but they'll typically show you where the cuts are, the muscle itself will. Pretty sweet copa right here. You can leave this outside muscle on, the steak Denver, or take it off. The ones that I've cured, I leave them whole. I just kind of like trim up some of this stuff, throw it to the side for sausages. But all the ones I've got hanging in there are with the full muscle group. It's not just the copa. I left the steak Denver on too. Just because it gives you a really dramatic look. I mean, I'll go ahead since this is you know, for us to all see what's going on. You see what you're looking at on the inside of this. You get a really badass copa off of this pig. I mean, it's huge. You could take that part off, but I mean, we don't. And also, I mean, shit, you can cut copa steaks out of this. I don't know if you guys are eating it in this preparation. I might save a couple for this one day. Just do some copa steak. Probably same similar situation. Brine it, sous vide it, just pick it up on one side, cast iron, and sell it. So that'll get. I think I included a copa recipe on that page. And it works really well for us, man. It really does. It's fucking really good. Use like the freshest bay leaves you can find if possible. Bay leaf, white pepper, juniper berry, general cure. It's just awesome. I use it all the time, maybe to a fault. And then at this point, you know, so you've got a little bit of this kind of a blade left in here. Typically what I've done with all of the shoulders that we've had, I just made sausage out of all of them. We did have an event one time where they wanted barbecue, so we were able to come in here, fillet this bone out, I guess the remaining parts of the femur, skin still on, and just score it and then truss it up and just cooked it like traditional smoked pork shoulder, and it came out really well. It came out really, really well. Like there's still enough muscles in there for you to get some good barbecue out of it. Another one of those super gelatinous bones right here that'll get you what you need. Right now, you see that huge bone is revealed there. There's gonna be one more bone just beneath it. So there's a good amount of sausage meat here and really good fat back, lardo, and skin off of that side. Now for this boneless roaster, dude. We cooked some bone in too, and I mean, granted it took 16 hours, but it's still really, really good. Get a little bit more flavor with the bone still in there.
Jeff, what's the most difficult part about being on a whole family?
Not getting complacent, man. Honestly, I mean, it's a lot of work, it really is. But staying on top of your organization while you have all the week's orders coming in, and you know, trying to really get it figured out is pretty tough, but something that I'm pretty confident all you guys can like get into the rhythm of doing. I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable with it, being in a walk-in now, you know, with lunch on the horizon. I think it's really going to help save a lot. And we didn't even talk about meatloaf. We didn't talk about meatballs. I mean, fuck, man. There's so much stuff you can do with this. I'll get the last little bit of. This is going to be a great stock bone right here. But it's also a good thing, man. Challenge you to kind of really come up with some new ideas. I mean, you don't want to waste any of this. You know, the more marks you got on the P-Mix off of this animal, I mean, it's $3 a pound all the way across the board, guys. You know, so at that point, you know, it's really in your hands, whatever you want to do with it. Pull this muscle off for sausages. Just kind of follow along that. I'm leaving the skin, and here you go.
Typically, Chef, how many pounds are the pigs that you usually are butchering?
They're about the same size as this guy here was.
So you're doing a half, or are you
Yeah,
doing?
this is a half, and that was somewhere around 120. You know, so what would you say the biggest one that we've gotten was? We did have a
whole pig you've got is 260.
yeah. There was a fat boy in here recently.
Their number one hog still range between 200 pounds and a buck.
Yeah.
We go all the way down to suckling.
Mhm.
It's just selling like suckling hog.
No, sir, not at all. But yeah, guys, I mean, so what you've got here, start breaking everything back out.